Oklahoma is a land where dust lingers in the air like a memory, where prairie winds carry whispers you can't quite place, and where forgotten roads lead to places that don't feel empty, even when they should be. Here, tragedy has a way of embedding itself into the soil, twisting barns, mansions, and theaters into something more than ruins. You'll hear footsteps where no one walks, laughter in rooms left to rot, and see shapes that vanish when you dare to look twice. Tonight, we wander into Oklahoma's most haunted places, where silence is never truly silent, and the darkness moves on its own. 1. Cain's Ballroom, Tulsa. On a quiet street in Tulsa stands a music hall where legends were made and shadows still dance. Cain's Ballroom, built in the 1920s, is famous as the Carnegie Hall of Western Swing. Bob Wills and the Texas Playboys once set its wooden floors trembling with music, and generations have come here to lose themselves in rhythm. But some of those who walked through its doors never left. Patrons and staff alike speak of ghostly presences lingering in the corners. The upstairs offices are notorious for strange activity doors slamming, typewriters clacking though untouched, and disembodied voices carrying on as if the business of the past never ended. Shadows flit across the balcony, vanishing before eyes can fully catch them. The most unsettling tales are of the dance floor itself. People describe phantom footsteps pacing beside them, moving in perfect time to music that no longer plays. Some swear they've seen couples in old-fashioned dress, twirling at the edge of their vision, only for the figures to dissolve like smoke when approached. Cold spots hang in the air, even when the room is packed with the warmth of bodies and sound. There are whispers, too, of a darker energy perhaps tied to violent altercations from the ballroom's wilder days, when its reputation drew not only music lovers, but rowdy brawlers. Visitors have reported the sudden, suffocating feeling of hands around their neck, lasting just long enough to send them gasping for breath. Stand in Cain's Ballroom when the lights dim and the stage falls silent, and you'll hear it, the faint scrape of boots on wood, the rhythm of a ghostly song that never stops playing. The music lives on, but so do the shadows. 2. Cherokee Strip Museum, Alva. In the quiet town of Alva, the Cherokee Strip Museum preserves the history of settlers, ranchers, and native tribes. By day, it's a collection of artifacts, photos, and reconstructed rooms. By night, it transforms into something far less welcoming. Staff and visitors alike report ghostly figures wandering the old schoolroom display. Teachers from long ago seem to linger here, their stern voices captured in EVP recordings, scolding invisible children. Others have described the faint sound of chalk scratching across a blackboard, though the board itself remains untouched. The basement, where artifacts from pioneer life are stored, carries the heaviest energy. People have felt sudden nausea, dizziness, and even the sensation of being grabbed by unseen hands. One recurring apparition is a woman in pioneer dress, her face obscured, who appears briefly before fading into shadow. Strangest of all are the phantom smells, the sharp tang of smoke, as though a fire had just swept through, and the faint sweetness of baking bread where no kitchen exists. These scents seem to follow visitors, lingering long after they leave the museum's doors. Step inside the Cherokee Strip Museum after dark, and history comes alive, but not in the way you'd wish. Here, the past doesn't sleep. It watches. 3. Hex House, Tulsa. On the surface, it looks like an ordinary lot in Tulsa, but locals whisper that the ground itself is cursed. This was once the site of the infamous Hex House, a place that blurred the line between crime, cult, and the paranormal. In the 1940s, a woman named Carol Ann Smith lived here. To neighbors, she was eccentric. To those who knew her more intimately, she was terrifying. Smith kept 2 young women in her basement, forcing them into servitude under the guise of occult rituals. She allegedly practiced strange ceremonies, convincing them she held supernatural power. When her crimes were finally uncovered, the house gained a reputation not only for human darkness, but for something far less explainable. After Smith's arrest, the home was abandoned, yet passers-by spoke of eerie sights, windows glowing faintly, as if candles still burned inside, even when the house was dark and locked. Strange chanting was reported late at night, drifting across the street. Some swore they saw shadowy figures moving behind the curtains, long after the place should have been empty. Though the original house was eventually demolished, the legend endures. Visitors to the empty lot still report feelings of dread, sudden cold drafts, and the sense of being watched by something unseen. Paranormal investigators claim the ground itself hums with a strange energy, as though the rituals Smith performed left a permanent scar. Stand near the old Hex House site after dusk, and you'll understand why locals cross the street to avoid it. The building may be gone, but the darkness it birthed has never truly left. Overholser Mansion, Oklahoma City. Beneath the canopy of aging oaks in Heritage Hills, the Overholser Mansion sits like a time capsule from the Gilded Age. Built in 1903 for Henry Overholser, often called the father of Oklahoma City, the mansion's lavish stained glass windows and intricate woodwork should exude warmth. Yet the atmosphere tells a different story, one of loneliness, regret, and whispers that don't fade. Tour guides speak of phantom footsteps pacing the second floor, often when no one else is there. Visitors report sudden drops in temperature in Henry's old study, where it feels as though someone is still watching over the city he helped build. His wife, Anna, is said to remain, as well her apparition spotted in the grand parlor, lingering near the piano as if waiting for music that never comes. More disturbing are the reports of muffled voices echoing down the hallways, carrying on conversations too faint to understand. Some have claimed to see the faint glow of candlelight in the upstairs windows late at night, though the mansion has long been wired with electricity. Paranormal investigators have even recorded a stern male voice warning, "Leave." Even in daylight, the Overholser feels strange. The polished wood seems too dark, the ornate mirrors reflecting more than just your own face. It's as if the Overholsers never truly departed, their lives repeating like a ghostly performance behind those heavy red curtains. Would you dare climb the winding staircase after dusk, knowing who might be waiting at the top? 5. Gilcrease Museum, Tulsa. Tulsa's Gilcrease Museum holds some of the finest collections of Native American art and artifacts in the country. But among its priceless relics, something less tangible lingers something that makes even seasoned staff members hesitate after dark. Founded by oilman and philanthropist Thomas Gilcrease, the museum preserves centuries of history. Yet the very artifacts meant to educate also seem to tether the spirits of those they once belonged to. Security guards on the night shift tell of strange whispers echoing through empty galleries, the sound of drums beating faintly in the distance, and sudden chills that make the hair on their arms rise. One recurring apparition is a Native American warrior who appears silently, only to vanish the moment someone approaches. Others have claimed to see shadowy forms moving between the displays, their shapes darting across walls as if the history itself has come alive. Even more chilling are the reports of artifacts shifting slightly from their cases, or alarm systems tripping without explanation. Staff members sometimes find offerings feathers, small stones left mysteriously near displays, as if unseen hands are paying respects. For visitors, the Gilcrease is a place of reverence, but for those who walk its halls at night, it's also a place where the line between the living and the dead feels dangerously thin. Would you linger among the relics, knowing they may be watching you back? Fort Reno, El Reno. Stretching across the plains outside El Reno lies Fort Reno, a historic military post with roots that run back to the Indian Wars of the 1870s. At first glance, it looks like a relic of the frontier red brick barracks, watchtowers, and the vast fields surrounding it. But beneath that history lies a graveyard of unrest, both literal and spiritual. Fort Reno has served many purposes: a base for cavalry troops, a prisoner of war camp during World War II, and even a burial site for Native Americans and soldiers. The land itself seems scarred by centuries of violence and sorrow. Visitors report phantom soldiers patrolling the grounds at night, their boots echoing against the gravel long after the post has closed. Tour guides tell of disembodied voices calling out in German from the old POW camp, remnants of captured soldiers who never left. In the cemetery, mourners have seen shadowy figures moving among the graves, vanishing before they can be approached. Cold winds often whip through the fort's chapel, even when the weather outside is calm. And some say they've seen the flicker of lanterns in empty watchtowers. The most unsettling accounts come from those who stay overnight for investigations, heavy footsteps circling their beds, the feeling of being watched by unseen eyes, and even the phantom jingling of cavalry harnesses outside the barracks. At Fort Reno, the soldiers may be gone, but their presence marches on eternally. 7. Belvidere Mansion, Claremore. In the town of Claremore, a towering red brick mansion rises against the Oklahoma sky, its ornate turrets and sweeping staircases whispering of grandeur long past. The Belvidere Mansion was built in 1907 for John and Mary Bayless, but tragedy struck before it could become the dream home they envisioned. John died suddenly before the mansion was finished, leaving his widow and 9 children in a house that already felt heavy with sorrow. Visitors today speak of an atmosphere that clings like cobwebs the moment you step inside. Shadows seem thicker here, the silence interrupted by the faint shuffle of unseen feet. Guests often describe a woman in Victorian dress, drifting silently through the halls, believed to be Mary Bayless herself, mourning the life she lost. On the grand staircase, people have felt sudden chills as if walking through a presence invisible yet unyielding. Some have claimed to hear muffled conversations behind closed doors, only to open them and find empty rooms. Paranormal investigators have captured EVP recordings of a woman's voice, soft and grief-stricken, repeating the word, "Stay." Even in the mansion's tea room, now used for weddings and social gatherings, people report teacups rattling without cause and the sensation of being watched as they sit to drink. Imagine raising a cup to your lips, only to feel unseen eyes fixed upon you from across the room. At the Belvidere, the past never truly loosens its grip. Constantine Theater, Pawhuska. The streets of Pawhuska grow quiet at night, and under the dim glow of street lamps stands the Constantine Theater, a building with a past that refuses to fade. Built in the late 1800s as a vaudeville house, it saw decades of performances, laughter, and applause. But behind the velvet curtains lies a shadow that never left the stage. Locals whisper about a woman in a long, flowing dress who wanders the balconies. Some say she's the ghost of Sappho Constantine Brown, the daughter of the theater's founder, who loved the building so deeply that her spirit remained when her body did not. Patrons report cold spots in the middle of crowded rooms, the sudden flicker of stage lights when the wiring is intact, and the sound of faint piano music after midnight when the theater is locked and empty. Actors rehearse under her gaze, claiming to feel the prickling sensation of being watched from the balcony. Some have even seen her silhouette appear in the upper seats, only to vanish when approached. On certain nights, a smell of roses, her favorite, drifts across the stage, though no flowers are present. Step inside the Constantine Theater when the lights are low, and you'll feel as though the velvet curtains breathe, as though the old stage boards remember every footstep. The applause may have died out, but Sappho's presence lingers in the darkened aisles, waiting for the next performance that will never end. 9. Stone Lion Inn, Guthrie. In the quiet town of Guthrie, an elegant Victorian home sits beneath tall oaks, its gabled roof and carved woodwork masking a history steeped in sorrow. The Stone Lion Inn was once the home of the Houghton family, who built it in 1907. It should have been a place of comfort, but it instead became a cradle for tragedy. The most chilling story tells of young Augusta Houghton, who died here after being accidentally poisoned by cough medicine laced with opium. Her short life ended in the very room where guests now sleep. Since then, footsteps have been heard, pacing in the night, and doors creak open as though someone small is still wandering. Visitors speak of the feeling of invisible hands tugging gently at their clothes, as if a child is seeking attention. Toys are said to move on their own. Paranormal investigators have recorded disembodied voices, some soft, like a child's giggle, others stern, like a mother calling across the room. Even the smell of baby powder drifts unexpectedly through the halls. What makes the Stone Lion Inn even more infamous are the overnight murder mystery events it now hosts. Guests often wonder if the shivers down their spine are caused by actors playing roles or by something older, watching from the staircase, still bound to the tragedies of this house. Imagine laying your head down to sleep, only to hear faint breathing beside your bed. Would you stay until morning? 10. Skirvin Hotel, Oklahoma City. Imagine stepping into a grand, historic hotel where the marble floors gleam and chandeliers glitter, but the moment the elevator doors close, you feel as though you're not alone. The Skirvin Hotel in downtown Oklahoma City is both luxurious and infamous. Whispered about by guests who claim its beauty hides something sinister. The legend begins with W.B. Skirvin, the oil tycoon who built the hotel in 1911. Locals tell of a maid named Effie, said to have become Skirvin's mistress, trapped on the 10th floor to keep her secret hidden. Effie supposedly fell, others say, jumped with her infant in her arms. Since then, her cries are said to echo through the hallways, as if searching for the child she lost. Guests describe strange sensations, the sound of a baby wailing when no families are checked in, doors slamming without reason, and disembodied laughter of a woman drifting across empty corridors. Some report waking in the night to the sensation of someone pressing against the bed, an unseen presence breathing just above their ear. Even visiting NBA teams have refused to stay here after sleepless nights of slamming doors and whispering voices. Stand in the lobby and you'll notice no matter how grand the light fixtures glow, shadows cling to the corners. It feels as though Effie still walks these halls, her story woven into the very walls of the Skirvin. Would you take the elevator up to the 10th floor, knowing what waits? From gilded mansions to windswept plains, from sacred caves to haunted hotels, Oklahoma is more than just dust and silence. It's a land where the past refuses to rest. The state's history is written not only in books and stone, but in footsteps that echo where no one walks, in whispers that cling to empty halls, and in shadows that shift when you least expect it. And as you think back on these stories, ask yourself, when the wind howls across Oklahoma's open land, are you sure it's only the wind you're hearing? That's all for today. If you enjoyed this chilling journey, don't forget to like, comment with your favorite haunted location, and subscribe for more weekly videos from the shadows.